Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Dojo Live. Today is Wednesday, August 25th, 2021. I'm Tulio Sergusa, broadcasting from Southern California, and I'm joined by Kim Lantis in Hermosillo, Mexico, Carlos Ponce in Cuernavaca, Mexico, and we have Eric Chabel, who's the founder and CEO at Share, joining us just out of Los Angeles and Marina del Rey. Thanks for joining us today, Eric. It's good to have you.
It's a
Can you
pleasure.
guys believe it? It's almost the end of August. It's like before you know it, it's going to be the end of the year. But anyway, we're still having a lot of fun. Today, we're talking about real estate. If any of you have been shopping for a home recently, you know very well how difficult and how competitive it is. People are outbidding each other, putting way over asking price offers. It's insane. And out there, and there's just not enough inventory for the amount of people looking for a home. So we're going to be talking today about maybe an alternative way to build equity, shared home ownership. So, but before we do that, let's get to know our guest a little bit. Eric, please tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and we'd appreciate it. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, the whole team. So a little bit about myself is I'm the CEO and founder of Share. I'm actually a first gen American from Canada, so I'll tell you the weather out here in the summertime is a lot nicer than pretty much all the seasons up there. So um, it's great being down here, and really I went to school up at University of Washington. My background is in engineering. And I'm a licensed real estate broker and mortgage broker, and really have been spending a lot of my career down here in the Los Angeles area, and it's really where my roots are, and been really just building companies since really being down here, and no complaints. And yeah, it's a quick synopsis of myself, and excited to be here.
Very cool. 13 years ago, when I moved to Los Angeles from New York, there was pretty much most of the industry was real estate or legal services or something like that. There was no tech to be found. That's obviously changed dramatically. So it's an interesting intersection between real estate and technology that you've created. Tell us a little bit about Share. What gave birth to the company? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so it's funny how the company originally got started was really through my experiences. I am myself a millennial, and I've been sharing spaces, co-living with dozens of people, ranging from being from college and even into living in Los Angeles. And I started looking into, well, everyone co-lives today, or at least the majority do, and they find each other on Craigslist, friends of friends, but very strange sites that still connect people, and wanted to kind of think about, well, how can people now get into home ownership, and how can it be more accessible? And when you crunch those numbers, it's some scary facts is that it takes on average, if someone comes out of college with no debt, and they earn $60,000 and they get promoted every single year with 10% increases in the raises, uh, it will take them at a minimum of 14 years to ever buy just one small single family home. That's the average home price right now, assuming home prices don't change over the course of the 14 years, which we know from historical records that's typically not true. So looking at all that data, and using myself as a real estate broker who have I've about 8 years in the space of representing clients, I know how competitive it is to actually help a client and actually be a realtor. In fact, 87% of all real estate agents in the first 5 years never make any money and quit the industry. That's per the National Association of Realtors. So essentially, I wanted to connect somewhat of a failing competitive industry of realtors and help them be more successful by connecting them to a whole demographic, the largest demographic in the country being millennials, trying to get home ownership and access that, and by providing that connectivity and a streamlined all-in-one platform.
So, just to clarify what Share actually does, is it a marketplace for people looking to co-own a home? What does it actually do?
Yeah, the value prop is where a home buyer can either and this is the majority of the scenarios, they know who they want to co-own with. whether that be your current roommate or a friend of a friend, or even one of your a parent. They access share for our data feed for all of our homes. We are integrated with several partnerships across California. We have access to the top largest wholesale lenders in the country. So instead of trying to figure out, well, do you have Wells Fargo and I Bank of America? Well, we have to create an account for a couple months. You use Share to access our loan products. We originate those loans as well. You can connect with our independent real estate agents, as well as you can all in one centric platform where if you like a home, you simply add it to your favorites and your other co-owners can see that, and as well as do a group chat around that specific property and tagging individual real estate agents or other co-owners you may be interested in owning with. So it's a one-stop shop while also providing you the opportunity to sell your fractional ownership. And so right now in today's industry, it's a bit competitive and difficult to be able to get out of a fractional ownership. So we're seeing friends who are currently co-owning, they're using our platform to list as a for sale by owner as fractional ownership, or reaching out to one of our agents to help them sell that fractional ownership for a service fee.
Brilliant. Okay, let's dig in a little more and see what we can learn today. Kim, please kick off the conversation with our topic.
Why don't you take that
Yeah,
away, Carlos?
yeah. Thank you, Kim.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I
Uh,
miss the note here on the chat? I thought it was Kim
yeah,
doing. Go ahead,
yeah. I
Carlos.
think I think no worries at all. Yeah. Affordable home ownership. So I'm sure that this is in the mind of a lot of people who wish to become owners. So how can we make it? There's a question. The question is, how can access to affordable home ownership be more accessible with software? That's the question we're going to be answering today. This is in the context of the topic chosen by our guest today, which is shared home ownership, a faster way to build equity and access home ownership. So, Eric, the first question that I have for you is, why did you choose this particular topic and why did you feel it was relevant for today's day and age? Let's start there, please.
Yes. Um, so with this topic, not only it relates to, of course, Share, my company, but it is extremely relevant in such an unaffordable era where homeownership has been a dream that just seemed to have disappeared. And access and really these routes to software, uh, with my experience and my knowledge and what we provide, software is a huge improvement in getting home buyers into that accessible home ownership, simply because they provide knowledge and there's so many more resources now that that's available.
All right. Thank you.
So, you said something interesting when we first started that most co-owners or people probably been roommates for a while and they decide, you know what, we're progressing along in our career. If we pull our resources together, we're pretty happy as roommates. We could purchase a home and build equity instead of just giving away money to rent and basically never capturing any of that back. So they use the platform to be able to share what they like and essentially have a way for them to begin the process to co-ownership. Is the plan to expand where it becomes like a marketplace? Or maybe the people that don't necessarily know each other that might have a common interest, for example, for investment properties, or is it strictly for co-ownership where the people will live in those homes? What's your plan for share as it relates to that?
Terrific question. Our current plan is, as you had mentioned, and it's spot on, is having our focus on bridging that gap between people who are renting and getting into their first home ownership. But we are seeing a large demographic of our homebuyers who are looking to use our software to co-own investment properties. Um, that is not our primary focus. However, it is still accessible and completely usable for those secondary or vacation homes. And you brought up a good point with
Interesting.
the community. So to give you a little more like analytics into our CRM is 80% of our home buyers come to share with someone who they have in mind, who they want to co-own with. So when they create an account, they invite a couple of co-owners who they think they're going to buy with, and inevitably at least one or two they will from that pool. But it comes down to also when that other 20%, say for instance, you just moved because of a job position, you're relocating. You don't really want to spend 2 to 3 years with a roommate you may not know via Craigslist or any other source to meet. And you want to get into home ownership with someone else who's financially cognizant and kind of aware and wants to build equity. So there is that network and community that we do provide. You're able to post on your news feed, connect to friends on Share. You can integrate. So we are a simple sign-on, meaning you can log in from Facebook or LinkedIn, upload your profile picture, and make yourself a little bit more marketable. And when you do want to co-own with, say, for instance, someone you may not know, you have the opportunity of flagging that property, which allows every co-owner to know if they see that home that that specific home buyer is interested in that property, and it's a way to essentially bridge that connectivity. So yes, we do plan to help more people who may not know each other co-own, because as we grow in life, just the matter of fact is people are in different life stages, especially from 23 and up, and it's really difficult to kind of align one's visions and where you're at financially with the exact same property. So there's a lot of moving pieces that need to align, and we hope that that with that social aspect, we'll be able to improve that.
Eric, from the layman, let's call it from the layman's perspective, or someone who's doesn't know a lot about real estate in general, such as myself. So, would you mind clarifying what the difference would be with what's known as fractional ownership, for example? So that's my first question, and the second question is home ownership or the way that Chair does it, or through Chair, is this with the purpose of living in the property like at certain intervals, similar to fractional ownership, or is it just for investment purposes?
Mhm. Uh, to address the first point, is it is fractional ownership, but given our demographic, we prefer to say shared home ownership because that is really what it is.
Hmm.
It's home ownership that's just fractionalized, and
Hmm.
so one way or another, you are sharing it. Uh, so that's the first point. It is one and the same, and it is specifically right now for residential single family homes,
Hmm.
for 1 to 4 unit, including multifamily properties.
Hmm.
And to your second point is this available for your secondary or vacation homes? It is, but as I mentioned before, Julio's point is we're focused more so on the primary case, which is a large demographic of unachievable home ownership. So we're seeing right now people who can afford a 400K, 500K home in California. These are people who want to co-own together, but home prices right now in California, the average is closer to 800,000. Um,
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you tell me where this 500K
yeah,
homes are in California?
yeah, it's tough even then. So, but there are still we are able to find them on more towards slightly more inland. So you're
Right,
not going to
right.
be able to get a home quite in Santa Monica unless you do co-own with someone who's uh, you know more than likely going to have to be a millionaire. But
Thi This
yeah,
is very interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people can start to get creative with this. So one of the things you mentioned was potentially a millennial who could co-own a home with their parents. So do both have to live in the property? I know some banks are picky about that, right? You're gonna give you a mortgage, you have to be a resident in your property. Um, in other words, what I'm trying to figure out is, let's say someone wants to buy a home, but they don't have enough to put down, and they bring another co-owner who's going to share in part of the equity and build part of the equity and as an investment, but they're not going to live there. It could be literally a parent or a family member, or it could be someone who's a friend that wants to co-invest in the house, but you are going to live there as a person, but the other person isn't. Is that kind of scenario also allowed? And what are the limitation or challenges with the mortgage side of that when that happens?
It's funny. I was actually just asked that question yesterday as well from a prospective investor, and with our and to your earlier assumption, yes, some lenders treat that differently, where they do require certain restrictions. However, per FHA, so Federal Housing Administration guidelines, so really backed by the government, the rule is for at least for the wholesale lenders that we're working with, that they have implemented. Some may have implemented more stringent rules, but the ones that we currently work with, who are the largest lenders, wholesale lenders in the country, is only one of the co-owners need to live in the home for a period of 6 months and 1 day. Um,
Wow.
there are some other kind of weird restrictions where you have to have a mailing address, but those are more you know within that 6 month type rule. So, but to consolidate my answer is it's just one out of the. We go up to 5 different co-owners that can buy unrelated.
That's
Eric,
amazing.
how do you make sure, Eric, that I know that we're also discussing the software part, but I'm also curious as to, because we're talking about multiple people or several people who can co-own a home. How do you handle through chair, or how does chair handle, mm, let's call it, possible conflicts of interest or disputes between homeowners? Is there, or how does chair help avoid
Mm.
these possible challenging situations as conflicts of interest or disputes?
Yeah, great question. Now you need to kind of look at it as 2 different lenses: one from a legality standpoint, and one from an overall brand standpoint. From the legal standpoint, we are the marketplace and the connector. So if you co-own and you make a bad investment decision, that is unfortunately on your hands, and that's out of our control. However, from a branding perspective, we do our best to make sure that the transactions go successful. And how we do that is by proactively suggesting each co-owner to use our custom contracts, which are tenants in common, or us helping them create an LLC. And this is a free service that we provide for our co-owners. And really, it helps outline their relationship in case one of the co-owners were to stop paying, and what their exit solutions will be, whether that be selling it on share, or using an agent as a for sale by owner, or having the other co-owner buy them out. So we do structure those contracts in place, and we strongly recommend that these co-owners use it to be more successful throughout their transaction. And if you want to have a, say for instance, you co-own an investment property, well, who's going to manage the home if you're not going to live in the property?
Mm.
That's a question we get asked very frequently. And so we actually have now a few different partnerships with some larger startup companies that will actually manage these homes for our co-owners for a management fee. And so we've been able to introduce those people, our co-owners, to now this management company for a small referral fee as well.
All right, thank you,
I
Eric.
um
Oh,
I read an article, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, and it was fascinating. There's a small town outside of Rome that has 100 homes, and the government is offering each home for a euro, €1, basically for $1, as long as you commit to renew them within 3 years. And you have to put a deposit of a $5,600, something like that, which you will get back after you've proven that you've renewed the homes. And I was thinking to myself, what a great idea. Except I don't live in Rome. So it would be awesome if I could like make the investment to renovate this home, but someone with someone local, and you buy enough of them that you could actually create potentially some real estate value that you could rent out or make vacation home out of it, what have you. Is there a plan to expand beyond the US, and what are some of the limitations for doing that? Because the software could basically marry anyone, any two people or number of people that want to purchase a home together. Does it have any limitations in terms of legality for doing this kind of thing beyond the states? What are your thoughts on that?
It'll come down to the lender restrictions.
Mm.
And so one value prop, as I kind of alluded to earlier, is the vesting period that one must have with a lender in order for that lender to actually to guarantee a note, and issue out that loan for the multiple co-owners. And so what we do is, as a mortgage brokerage, and providing those loans to our wholesale lenders, we're able to bypass that red tape. So it will come down to whether or not our wholesale lenders are willing to go international. At this time, it's no, but I'm not saying that there is an opportunity overseas. We just have not developed those relationships yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking, foreign countries are buying into the US all the time, right? So it's like, let's turn the table a little bit, see if we can buy some of it. Let's turn the table. Okay, Kim, I think you have a question.
Yes. First of all, I hope this works. As you can see, I've been having some difficulty technically. Sorry. I may have missed something, but my question for you is, I'll be honest, in my ignorance, I didn't even know that co-ownership of a home was a possibility until today's show. So what do you at Share do to even, is there a big marketing strategy behind this? Is there like this gap, not just of making it possible and connect potential buyers, but even letting people know that you can do this? How do you go about, is it just me, or is that a problem that you have to overcome as a company?
No, you're not the only person in the world that does not know about co-ownership. I promise you that. How we go about in our terms of our marketing strategy, is really touching on those pain points about paying those rent, how it increases, and how unaffordable homes are. And so when they get to Share, we provide a lot of financial literacy and tools for them to get educated. Many of whom, as I mentioned, these are first-time homebuyers, so they don't know, from left to right, what's going on, and so they have some small nominal amount of down savings that they've been trying to put towards something. They've been using fintech applications, say for instance Robinhood or other savings apps. However, now they're trying to figure out, well, what do I do with my savings? Because I don't know how to home own or co-own. I mean, I know home owning by myself is unaffordable. I'm not married, so who am I supposed to buy a home with? I can ask my parents maybe, but none of my friends own a home either. So I guess I can just keep renting, and that's kind of their logic. And so when they get to Share, we provide them hands-on customer success, connecting them to our home buying team, asking them a series of questions, and providing them our knowledge hub, which has thousands of pages of how to co-own, terminology, and educational tips and tricks on getting into home ownership. We also integrate. We have a new AVM model, which essentially allows the buyer to know, which isn't this unique novel aspect of Share, but it allows the homeowner to know how much equity they're going to be potentially building up. And what we position ourselves as well, always to be thinking ahead, where you're going to be building equity, but remember, Share is a stepping stone. You build equity, and the end goal is for you to own multiple assets or buy a home on your own when you want, and get that financial freedom. So that's the unique aspect around our AVM, where we're always trying to encourage that home buyer to build their equity and then apply it elsewhere to another investment as well. And that helps with our also customer lifetime value, where once you're done co-owning your first home, buy your next home using Share, or co-own a secondary vacation home even using Share.
I mean, it's such a
Nice.
disruptive thing you guys
Yeah,
have
because the
created.
accessibility.
Amazing. Go ahead, Kim. Oops.
I think we might have some delay on the side of Kim.
Kim.
So
I was just going to say, think
probably,
about this.
yeah.
Most people have roommates. I'm just like comparing to a city like Los Angeles. Some people might rent a home together, and they're spending $10,000 plus per month, and so each individual might be spending $2,000, $2,500 per month towards rent, which they don't ever get that back. I mean, they're pooling their resources together to create equity for themselves. Even if they stayed in it for 3, 4 years, that's money they're going to get back, especially with the valuation of the homes going up. It's just smart. It's just super smart way to use your money. You're going to be sitting with a roommate for 10 years anyway. You might as well own something. I didn't think about this until today's show either. Go ahead, Kim. I think you had a follow on, or you, Carlos, had a follow on as well.
Well, I do, but I think that Kim, are you there, or is she
I
frozen?
did.
I think.
Talking about, I love the accessibility. Am I behind? I think there's a delay. Can you hear me?
It's okay. You look like one of those person behind one of
Ah.
those witnesses
Not my day, folks.
protection
Not my
program
day.
thing.
I was thinking the same thing.
I owned a home once.
You can't disguise your voice.
You can get
Forget
a
it.
home.
Forget about me. The show must go on.
Go ahead, Carlos.
I know.
You
I was
asked
just,
the question.
yeah. One more thing before we go. I mean, we're approaching the final segment of today's conversation, so I wouldn't want to leave today's show without asking you specifically about Share as a company. And this is because some of the viewers out there who might be watching could potentially be your employees, or they might want to come work for you. What would you say to these people that makes Share a great place to work, or what would you tell them about your company that would entice them to want to come work for you? Basically, what defines you internally as a company?
So to start, and with your latter point, they don't work for me. I work for them.
Wow.
I'm a figurehead. These guys are the ones building the company. So that's the first and foremost type of logic that we run at the company. Second is that when you join Share, and I say this to everyone who joins Share, is you're not a team member or whatever. You're part of family. So I address everyone as a family member. Share, and that's why in my emails, Share family. And obviously you have your biological family, and that always comes first, and then of course we come next. And so we're always, from my lessons learned working at larger corporations, I really wanted to create a workplace that is fun and creative, and I'm fully cognizant of you must always have a pipeline of new ideas to be successful and to be changing in these adaptive times. And so there is no wrong idea at Share. What we always tell everyone, regardless of your position, don't care. If you have an idea, come to us with, hopefully with some logic behind that idea on why we should implement it, and we will absolutely listen to you and have a high probability of even testing it and actually implementing it out. So there is no wrong idea at Share. We just try and make data-driven decisions. Your voices are heard, and by joining Share, there's really exponential growth in your future, and we all care about you. It's very collaborative.
Thank you so much, Eric. That was very good and enlightening. Back to you guys to wrap up.
Now you're a tech company as well as a real estate and mortgage company, all built into one. So is your employee base include brokers and realtors as well?
It does include loan processors,
Okay.
as well as loan officers, tech folks, so full stack developers, front end engineers. Really, so long story short, yes, tech, loan officers, and for real estate agents, no. We have we have independent real estate agents that are not associated with Share, but we encourage them to create their account on Share, because right now we have, I would say it's closer to 70, 80,000 home buyers that are trying to connect with agents, and that's where we need your help, agents. If you're listening, please join, because I'm a real estate broker, and I can only handle so many clients on my own. So please join.
Well, we love this idea. We think it's a great idea, and it's very timely with what's going on today. So we'll have to stay in touch and see how you progress along. Thanks for being with us today. We're up on time. Just hang out as we go off the air in a minute. But Carlos, we got one more show tomorrow, right?
Indeed. One more show, Tulio, and it's going to be interesting because we're going to be talking about ransomware. So we're going to be answering one question, and the question is, how cloud-enabled organizations can rapidly recover their distributed applications from ransomware attacks. And this is going to be with the conversation with Govind Rangasamy, the founder and CEO of Apranix. The topic, rapid recoveries from ransomware, predictably. So that's what we have right here on Dojo Live tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific. So join us, don't miss it, and be safe. Thank you,
See you
everyone.
soon.
See you soon.